Donald Trump is becoming increasingly vocal about leaving NATO and has even come up with a way to punish allies in Europe who refuse to join the war in the Middle East. The day before, Donald Trump met with NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte. The meeting was planned as a regular working visit, but it quickly turned into something else. Trump resorted to insults and threats and rudely expressed his irritation that the allies did not support the American-Israeli actions against Iran. At the same time, support for NATO remains high within the United States, and it is unlikely that Trump will be allowed to destroy the North Atlantic Alliance, but he can still do significant harm to the Europeans. And now sources have reported that Trump shared his Mexico plan with Mark Rutte, together with the Europeans, which could greatly help the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. My name is Pechii. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start this episode, I ask you to support the work of this YouTube channel. You can do this financially through donations, sponsorship, or a paid subscription using the links and details in the description of this video. All the platforms where you can do this are listed there. I will be grateful for any support you can give. And also subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechii News. The link is also in the description of this video. So, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte flew to see Trump at the White House the other day to try to improve relations between the Trump administration and Europeans within NATO. But Rutte didn't succeed. According to Politico, at a heated meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, US President Donald Trump expressed his dissatisfaction with NATO allies, and he made it clear that he is considering possible retaliatory measures for what he sees as insufficient support regarding his personal war in Iran. Rutte met with Trump behind closed doors as part of a long-planned visit, which very quickly turned into a sort of mission to preserve NATO, after the US president repeatedly threatened to leave the alliance because countries like Spain and France refused to support the American-Israeli position. The conflict with Tehran, in which a fragile two-week truce has been reached. По словам европейских чиновников, Rutte met with Trump behind closed doors. The president to leave the alliance, disappointment and anger over Europe's refusal, the countries Spain to support the quoted policy. Everything went wrong, said the first European official. The conversation was a continuous stream of insults. Trump apparently threatened to do just about anything. Met with Trump expected to understand that he was considering options for retaliation or, if you will, revenge. The same two people and a third European official, the US president gave those present the impression that he wanted the allies to take concrete action as soon as possible. The Strait of Hormuz. However, a White House representative stated that during the conversation Rutte met, the US president repeatedly threatened to leave the alliance because of their refusal. A White House representative said, quote, "As President Trump stated, NATO was put to the test and it failed. He has no expectations from NATO at this stage, and he hasn't asked them for anything, although that's a fact. There is much more benefit to supporting from the Strait of Hormuz than for the United States of America." And here I'll make a quick remark. I recommend this to you. Tomorrow, the episode about so-called petrodollar or Pax dollar or whatever you want to call it will probably be released. But the point is, Trump, as president, repeatedly threatened to refuse, which was more beneficial to Europeans than to Americans. I'll say right away, that's complete nonsense. Because it's precisely thanks to the fact that countries like Spain and France buy their oil, which passes through the Hormuz Strait, for dollars. That's exactly what allowed the US dollar to become the dominant currency around the world. I'll break down this story in detail. So I think tomorrow Rutte will meet with Trump. They didn't do this behind closed doors. And click the bell so you get notifications about new episodes coming out. That's why this is a very interesting topic, and I'll break it down for you in detail. И вот после встречи с Rutte, the President of the United States has repeatedly threatened them over their refusal, Spain, France, Israel. And then Trump said that NATO doesn't work unless you constantly pressure it, keep pushing it, which is exactly what he seems to be doing. Rutte met with Trump behind closed doors as president repeatedly for refusal, like Spain and the Americans. American troops are withdrawn from there. and, get this, to transfer them to other NATO countries such as Poland, Romania, Lithuania, and Greece, which are more the opposite. He met regarding this operation against Iran. And if you didn't get it right away, let me repeat it again. Trump wants this. With Spain and France closed, it's the American-Israeli side. That is, Donald Trump wants to move the troops from the western flank, but Rutte met with threats for refusing. Это же, наоборот, прекрасное но. Spain and France he discussed with Rutte, and if Rutte just played along with Trump and said Americano news for Europe, after all, the paradox is that the countries of Eastern Europe are the most interested in hosting American troops since they are on the border with Russia. Rutte met with those who spend the most on defense in NATO. The countries of Eastern Europe behind closed doors have repeatedly threatened to support. Международную коалицию по контролю над Ормузским проливом, Румыния сразу же одобрила запрос США на использование. And then on Thursday, Chancellor Friedrich of Germany помочь возобновить судоходство через Ормузский пролив, являющийся важным торговым центром, но только после полного прекращения боевых действий. И вот в четверг канцлер Германии met with Trump behind closed doors as part of the Spain-Israel talks. Rutte met with Trump in Spain and met with Trump behind closed doors several times, like Spain and France, and also with the American-Israeli side. We don't want this war, which has become a transatlantic stress test, to further escalate tensions between the United States and their European NATO partners. On Wednesday, the Supreme Commander of the French Army, General Fabien Mondon, also stated that Paris is considering exclusively defensive options for military assistance. Over the past week, we have welcomed officers from different countries who have decided to take part in this initiative aimed at restoring maritime navigation. The planning stage is moving forward with the overall goal of enhancing the safety of maritime navigation in this strategically important area. And last week, let me remind you, a coalition of 41 countries led by the United Kingdom supported the idea of introducing new sanctions and increasing diplomatic pressure on Iran over its closure of a key strait. But it made it clear that it would not provide military assistance while the conflict continues. And finally, let me add one very important point. Donald Trump cannot legally withdraw from NATO, because for that you need a 2/3 vote in the Senate. Donald Trump also cannot significantly reduce the number of American troops in Europe, because in December 2025, Congress passed an amendment prohibiting the reduction of American troops in Europe below 76,000 soldiers for more than 45 days. And Donald Trump signed this law. Currently, there are 84,000 American military personnel stationed in Europe, although this number constantly varies due to rotations. So the most Trump can do is stomp his foot and move troops around within Europe. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so financially with any donation, a paid subscription, or by becoming a sponsor. All the links and details on how to do this are in the description of this video. It says there, support Alexei Pechii's channel. Choose any format that's convenient for you, and I'll be grateful for any support you give. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye. To be continued.